An alleged and anonymous video game developer who works on a racing game declared that he hates gamers and that he also described Asmongold viewers and supporters as bigots. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com, and this alleged developer posted to the game dev subreddit. He claims he works on a racing game, didn't say which one, but in his post on subreddit is titled, "Am I allowed to say this? I kind of hate gamers." And he wrote this: "I'm a professional game designer, and I'm worried that I'm starting to hate gamers. Watching the gaming events on YouTube last month with the chat on was an extremely disheartening experience. Every time a character that wasn't a cishet white man appeared on screen, the chat would fill with messages calling the game woke or complaining about DEI. Every game that wasn't a shooter or a hyper casual competitive online game garnered Z's and boring comments." He continued saying, "And then I checked Twitter and it's just people complaining that the MGS3 remake is not yellow enough." I assume he's talking about Metal Gear Solid 3. People telling me there are right ways and wrong ways to beat Ring. I think maybe he's talking about Elden Ring there, the spelling error. Not really sure what he's talking about there. And people hating on the new Dragon Age because the trailer doesn't match the tone they had imagined for it, or it didn't match the tone of previous games at all, or the tone of Dragon Age at all. Maybe. He then said this: "I've seen people implying that the main character in the Fable trailers is ugly because it's a self-insert of some random level designer working at Playground, whom they have deemed not effable enough. I don't know. It's just the internet magnifying negative voices, I guess, doing what it does best. But it's making me real tired of gamers." And this user's name is Likely Sprite. We did get some responses as well. One user pushed back on Likely Sprite and informed him that anyone who unironically uses cishet to complain about customers is not developing a game that will be commercially successful. Elon Musk even notes that use of that term on X is considered a slur. And I definitely believe it is. It is used as a slur. That's exactly how this person is using it. He's using it as a pejorative and a slur. And he basically kind of admits to what he's doing. He says, "Thanks for proving my point, cishet gamer." Doesn't want to actually listen to what what people are actually explaining to him what the problems are. Another post or another response here. He said that he revealed that the entire purpose of the post was, "I made this post to vent. People are free to comment whatever they want. My work is to tweak numbers on an Excel sheet and then implement and fine-tune the changes in the game engine. I have zero use for gamers' thoughts on race and gender." That's why he made an entire post about that, right? Doesn't really make sense. And then he posted this as well in another response. He says, "I'm not hyper focused on gender politics. I just happen to be trans. Should I apologize for existing? You should repent and apologize for engaging in a disordered lifestyle, buying into an evil ideology. You cannot be transgender. There, it is impossible. Men cannot become women, and women cannot become men. It's just you can't you cannot do that. Doesn't matter what kind of drugs, what kind of surgeries, how much you butcher yourself. You just cannot become the opposite sex of what you are." And this is really obviously why this person is really upset, because he is hyper focused on gender politics and wants to inject it into video games. And then finally, he talked about Asmongold and people on the Asmongold subreddit. This person says that his post had been already circulated online, and he responded, "Circulated online, and it's just a cross post to the Asmongold subreddit, so bigots can circle jerk about it." So obviously referring to people on the Asmongold subreddit as a bigot. So it's clearly this person is indeed hyper focused on gender politics and is upset that people are saying no to it. And Mark Kern does a really good job of kind of pointing this out. He says, "You hate gamers because you are obviously political and insist that everyone accept and love your overt political messaging in games." So obviously Kern is saying political. I think it has more to do with the gender ideology and sexual orientation pushing lifestyles that this person is trying to push into video games to get other people to buy into it and to normalize it. And I think honestly, this person wants to justify his own lifestyle that he knows is wrong. And Grum says, you want compliance and gamers aren't giving it to you. Exactly. They are saying no and are refusing to agree with this person. So I think Grums does a really good job of doing that. And I think this assessment is made even more abundantly clear based on the individual's replies and the fact that he claims he's a transgender. Not only this, but the person's intellect has clearly been dimmed by the fact that he's engaging in these sinful, disordered lifestyles. Edward Fieser, an associate professor of philosophy at Pasadena City College, explains this. He says sexual pleasure is like the pleasure of alcohol use and being perfectly innocent in itself, but also very easy to abuse. Hence, even in someone with otherwise normal sexual desires, a preoccupation with matters of sex has a tendency to cause him to act foolishly in various ways, to exaggerate the importance of sex, to pursue it in ways that are detrimental to his own well-being and that of people who depend on him, to construct rationalizations for such foolish pursuit, and so forth. Fieser adds, in someone with abnormal sexual desires, the effect is even worse. For what determines the good use of a human faculty is the end or purpose toward which it is directed by nature. Hence, a healthy moral psychology requires a firm intuitive grasp of what is natural and what is contrary to nature's purposes. Repeatedly taking sexual pleasure and activity that is directly contrary to nature's ends dulls the intellect's perception of nature to the point that the very idea that some things are contrary to the natural order loses its hold upon the mind. The intellect thereby loses its grip on moral reality. I think this is definitely happening to this individual, and he is now trying to encourage other people to engage in it, and is also lashing out at this at gamers who do recognize they still have their grip on moral reality, still realize the world around them, and are telling him, no, you are wrong. We reject your false premise. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.